Hi, my name's Dan Keane. I'm a composer, producer and musician based in London. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I hope you're all doing well. A few months ago, I created a library for pianobook.co.uk and then later Spitfire Labs called Thrumming Textures Earth, or as it came to be known, Organic Textures. In that video, I proposed that sample libraries tend to fall into one of two camps. On one side, you've got your realistic representation of instruments, recorded beautifully in beautiful spaces, maybe multiple dynamic layers, multiple round robins. And when we play them on our keyboards, we're triggering performances of players playing their instruments. On the other side, you've got your post-production led practices, your found sounds, your processed sounds. And I think this is the ultimate line of merchandise from any artist. It's not a t-shirt or a mug, it's the actual sounds that went into making your favorite records. I think we reach a wonderful place here, and this is the real love of sampling for me, is that it's not just about the dots on the page or the notes on the score. The artist or the developer has actually had a hand in creating, directing how those sounds are made. It's fresh, it's inspiring, it's new. Now, any sample developer who can create libraries within either of these vents is clearly very musical and very measured in their approach. But one that can create one in both simultaneously, well, that's something else. In today's review of Teletone Audio's Scarbo, I'm going to try and figure out which camp I think this library belongs in and whether it's something that you need in your toolkit. Now, I've actually had this library for a while. They gave it to me after I published my postcard piano review, which if you haven't seen, I'll leave it linked at the end of this video. An amazing, nostalgic, kind of lo-fi piano that's found its way into loads of pieces that I've written lately. I really love that instrument, and I knew I'd love Scarbo as well, but I didn't want to share it until now because they told me that there was a big update coming soon. That update is now out, version 1.3, and it's a big step up from the original library, so there's lots to discuss today. Now, I'm going to spoil this video right from the start by just saying that I think this is really great. We're going to go into lots of detail about the library and all of the things that it's got to offer, but just know ahead of time that while I'm not kind of affiliated with Teletone Audio or anything like that, the reason I'm sharing such a gushing review is because I only tend to share stuff that I think is worth your time. This isn't a sample library review channel. I don't have to be brutally honest or ruin the reputation of a sample library developer in sharing my negative opinions. I just want to share the great stuff with you, and I think this is one of those things. Now, because I'm really excited about it, I reached out to Teletone and said, would you be willing to give a small discount to my subscribers? They're great, and they agreed. So you can get 10% off if you use the code DANKEEN at checkout, and I'm really grateful to them for that. Now, the first thing you need to know about this is that it's a Contact player library now with version 1.3. Previously, you had to have the full version of Contact, and I'm really pleased they've gone down this route because it's just so nice to be able to see everything all in one place here in the library browser. Another thing that is new to 1.3 is we've got these multis, and I'm going to start here because I think this is the best way to describe the type of sound world that Scarbo has. So let's just go in to this. Now, Teletone have done a huge walkthrough of all of the patches. I don't need to go into that much detail today, but I will leave that at the end of this video if you want to watch a full kind of in-depth walkthrough. These are just some of my favorite sounds. So as you can hear, a really wide variety of quite cinematic sounds. I think this feels quite filmic, but I also think it's dressed in what we know Teletone audio to be now based on the postcard piano, which is this slightly more nostalgic, slightly lo-fi, gritty in places sound world. And even though these multis were an update, I feel like the multis in and of themselves would be absolutely fine to give away for the price, which is only $89, which I think is a really, really good price for this library. But we can go in and break down these multis into the individual ingredients. We can change the mixes between them. You'll have noticed that some of the instruments have just been tuned up by a few semitones, and I think that's always an interesting thing to see. But of course, we can create lots of our own multis from the plethora of all of these individual instruments. So let's just have a quick play with some of them. This is called a slight tension. So just going over the controls here, this modulation, which is controllable by the mod wheel, you could right click on this and then have it so that multiple things are being turned and moved at the same time. In fact, if we do the same thing on this, have a listen to this. On the right here, we've got our expression control. So this is controllable by CC11. And then we've got our ADSR. But if we break it down, if we go kind of behind the scenes, you can see that there are lots of little effects that are being applied here. And I think what I love about this is that often with something that is clever and has lots of plugins under the surface, you can hear it feels quite sort of man-made. But this feels very organic, and I really, really love that. Let's just have another play with something else. I love this for a couple of reasons. I mean, for one thing, it's incredibly musical. You can see that I'm able to improvise these parts in a way that draws sounds out of me in new ways. And I found this with postcard piano as well. I was reaching for chords that I don't normally reach for. It's the same with my Wurlitzer at home. It makes me play in a different way because it moves me into those chords, into those kind of flavors. And I find this definitely with this library as well, and it's not always the case. I think there are two things I love about this. Number one, there's a really difficult balance to strike between notes that travel, and I'll explain what I mean in a moment, and notes that feel quite static. With this, I mean, if you play a note, this one note is quite exciting. It travels a little bit, but it's not going to get overwhelming if I start adding lots of notes to this chord. Here's a 6-note chord. It just works. It works really, really well. The second thing I love about it is that you can remove most of these effects if you want to and just get back to those kind of more vanilla basic sounds. If I just turn down the mood and the movement and the modulation. I have a feeling that hiss is baked into the samples, which, to be honest, I don't really mind. But as you can see, you can also do other things as well if we turn up the attack, but turn down the release. You could add this maybe an octave below a piano or something just to give it a little bit of weight. Now with one of these patches, you can see here that in the movement, we've got this little arrow, which when we click it, it's actually tempo synced to the tempo of our DAW, which in this case is 120. So we can easily change this. And just in a similar way, I'm going to have these all move with the mod wheel, see how that affects things. Honestly, I could play with this library all day, but I'm going to leave you there. And if you like this library as much as I do, then check out the links down below. And of course, use my code DANKEEN for 10% off. Thank you again to Teletone Audio for giving me this library to review. And thank you to them for giving you the discount as well. I've got another video coming just before Christmas for my piano book advent calendar, which comes in just 2 days. So keep an eye out for that. And if you haven't already, do subscribe, like, and all of those things. I haven't quite decided yet whether I'm going to do an end of year review. I feel like there's lots to debrief about, but I also feel like maybe that could be the end of the year when I release this new piano book library. I don't know. Let me know what you think down below. Would you like to see that? Anyway, take care, stay safe, stay well, and I'll see you again very, very soon. Goodbye.